So my number one thing that I want people to take away from this, if you can do one thing out of this whole thing, I want you to take this away. Own your assets. Okay. And so that's a big thing. And in real estate specifically, I don't think people understand what that means.
So this is your real setting. This is not like a picture. And then
no, this is like real, dude.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I have a mug here that I'd be really happy to like throw back there, but I'd break it. Wife would get mad, but no, that's real.
Uh-oh. That's where
that was good. That was well played.
Oh, so good. All right, everybody. Welcome to another awesome webinar with Chime. If you haven't tried Chime, you've got to test them out. We both use Chime. It's a core component to everything that we do in this business. And Jake will throw in the discount because we have an exclusive discount for Lab Coat agents. And for those of you who don't know Brett Baker, here he is. He's a friend of mine. We still haven't met in person. And it's crazy that we haven't, but we met through COVID.
Right. It's true.
We're both doing these, right?
Yeah.
So, Brett, where are you out of, buddy? And give me a little bit of history.
Oh, man. Anchorage, Alaska now. And so, I started my business in Eastern Washington back in, let's see. So I left a $250,000 career as an air traffic controller at some of the busiest airports in the U.S. I got really bored with that, which people think is kind of crazy that I got bored with like the most stressful job in the world, but I did. And I started a real estate company in Eastern Washington, and we grew from Eastern Washington pretty much into the entire state of Washington, then Idaho, Southern California, Oregon. We kind of went all over the place. And then one thing led to another, and I was fortunate enough to sell my entire business and sign a 5-year non-compete, which was the worst thing I ever did. Everybody's like, oh man, that's so cool. I'm like, until you do it. Because I'm, as you know, super ADD. And I need to build business. And so my wife got into real estate after that. And I've been helping her since. But Tristan, I have really good news for you.
What?
My non-compete expired 2 days before Independence Day.
No way.
I'm back, buddy. Yeah.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah. So today, I want to talk about 3 things that we can all do to future-proof our business, right? Okay. And this is something that I learned both with my business and all the businesses that I've done since I sold my real estate company. This is stuff that you can use in any business that you do, but it's mostly, I'm focusing today on real estate. Okay.
I like that. Makes sense.
So outside of that, I live in Alaska. I fly a lot of airplanes. That's kind of what my wife and I do. We do a lot of stuff with helicopter back there. Nice. And then we go to remote islands and we take pictures of our airplanes and us on remote islands. So that's what I do.
Hey, everybody, while you're listening in and learning more about where Brett's from, please let us know what city and state you're from. I know I've got Kevin out of Wisconsin.
Oh man, it's Wisconsin.
Just give us your city and state, and then Brett can get going here. All right, man. Where do we start with future-proof our business?
So my number one thing that I want people to take away from this, if you can do one thing out of this whole thing, I want you to take this away. Own your assets. Okay. And so that's a big thing. And in real estate specifically, I don't think people understand what that means. Now, if you go to any other business, owning assets makes sense for the business. So let me give you an example. We own a boatload of laundromats. And everybody's like, wait, what, laundromats? Yeah, they actually are really, really profitable. We could do that a whole nother webinar, but we own a bunch of laundromats. And so we own all of the machines. Those are assets to us, because if for whatever reason, let's say that in one of our buildings that's leased, for example, let's say the landlord's like, dude, you guys are out. Cool. We own all our assets. We can move to a new location. Okay. Let's talk about what is an asset and why is an asset important. Assets in business are anything that you own that you can then use as leverage if you wanted to do something else. Example, maybe you're getting older in real estate and you want to move on to something else, but you don't want to lose the income from your real estate business. If you owned your assets, like, I don't know, your website, or maybe you own systems, or maybe you own processes that you can now lease out to other people, you can continue getting residual income in while you own those assets. Make sense?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. So this is one of those things where I hear a lot of people that will say, I have a website or a CRM through my brokerage. And every time I hear that, I cringe, like a lot. And I'll tell you why. If you build something that technically is part of your brokerage, you don't own that. Well, you have agreements and stuff. I get that. But ultimately, you don't own that. And if your brokerage changes their mind and suddenly changes providers, you lose everything that you just had. And I hear this all the time, right? So build something with you that you can take with you if you ever go anywhere else, right? Or in cases like mine, something that you can turn around and sell later, right? I hear this a lot, and I know I'm going to get this. I know I'm going to get this in the comments. Everybody's going to be like, I will never leave my brokerage. I'm going to be at my brokerage forever and ever and ever. I heard that from some of the most top producing agents in the country. And then this little brokerage launched, and it was 3 letters. And I don't know, this really handsome guy that I know is part of it. And you have a thing called the organization. Anyways, this little brokerage came along and overnight blew up. And all these big producers left and went somewhere else. And so what I tell people is own your own systems, okay? So this is why I personally, and I know Tristan, you do too, even though you're part of EXP, you have Chime and I have Chime. The reason I have Chime is no matter what business or what model I go to in the future, I own my database and I own my website. Those are in my control. And if I go anywhere else, all I have to do is change a couple of logos, right? Same thing in any form of business that you do. I mean, even down to like, we're really into aircraft, like I mentioned. And so like at one point when I went to go buy a jet, they were like, oh yeah, by the way, you can buy this jet for super cheap, but the engines are leased. And I'm like, I don't own the engines. It's like half the reason to buy it. What are you doing?
Wow, so, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, that's a whole, if you ever buy an airplane, buy it for the engines. Don't buy it for you buy the engines, get the airplane free. Basically, how does it work?
Okay.
So, but my point is, number 1, own your assets. Okay, so number 2, it's a fun one. I like this one. Become relevant to your audience. This is so easy. New clients, past clients, future clients, right? Become relevant to them. Give them reasons to need you and your services. Give them reasons to reach out to you. So how do you become relevant, right? So with new clients and future clients, this is the key: education. Show transparency, right? Give them more reasons to trust you over your competition because you're constantly leading with good quality information. Tristan, you are like the man when it comes to this, right? You do this with LCA. You do this with all the different webinars that you do. You are like the definition of lead with education. Now, how do we take that and turn that into real estate, right? Pretty simple. Let's say that you have a good, solid past client database.
Okay.
Give them get a bunch of tools and let your past clients borrow your tools, right? Let's, what's another good one here? Give like contractor recommendations, give monthly updates on market reports and stuff like that. But more specifically, how their real estate investment is doing. That's how you start leading with education. Even in your past clients, lead with education.
You reminded me of something, and you'll know this because you were also doing YouTube with Daryl Eves.
You bet. Yeah.
So there was one, he and Sean Cannell both say this, and it's there's a type of video. So this applies to content, but when you're saying become relevant to your audience, and the number one thing was ASQ, which is answer specific questions. You answer specific questions, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm becoming relevant. Yeah, because you're paying attention. So that's the first thing I thought of.
Yeah, and that honestly, I picked a lot of that up from them because it is so imperative. When you look at how many agents there are in the US, there's like what 1.8 million real estate agents in the US. Like, how are you protecting your database? How are you protecting those past clients that you've had? How do you make sure that when they think real estate, they think you? Will you continuously stay in front of them? I'm going to touch on that here as we get more into this. But truthfully, this does not matter what business you're in. You can do this with any business. We do this with our rental properties. We have 228 doors at this point, and so we do this with our rental properties. We even do this with our laundromats, dude. So like, we lead with education, right? For new and future clients. I know this is crazy, but then we stay in constant communication with them, especially with our past clients. And this is shown dramatically to like increase the overall revenue because you're staying top of mind. Now, it's hilarious because I get a lot of shit for the laundromat thing. And I'll tell you, if you stay in touch with people, they will come back and use you again. If you stay in front of them relevant wise with real estate, they're going to remember you and come back over and over again. You don't have to do extravagant stuff. Let me tell you what I do personally with this is why I use Chime specifically. I use long-term drips to stay in front of both my new and my future clients, and then long-term drips to stay in touch with my past clients. And so like my long-term drips up front for new clients, very, very easy. It's all education and social proof. So education being break down the real estate transaction on a level that a fifth grader can understand and start putting those kind of videos out. And I hear a lot, Brett, that's not going to attract the audience that I want. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. It's going to show transparency. It's going to make you easy to trust. And then with past clients, those long-term drips, it's so cool because with Chime, you can vary it. And this is why I love Chime. I can vary the way that I send my communication. So I can send the occasional text that looks like it came right from me. It's automated. I can also send the occasional email that, again, looks like it came from me, but it's totally automated. And then finally, I can even send like voicemail drops. So it sounds like it's coming from me, but it's totally automated. And then finally, my favorite part is that I can have reminders pushed to me to actually call you. So let's say you're coming up on your 1-year anniversary after you closed with me. I've already been sending you communication. Chime will notify me and be like, hey, dude, reach out to Tristan. It's his 1-year anniversary today. And I'd be like, hey, man, what's up? How's the house? Oh, you want to sell again? Awesome. Let's find you somewhere else in Malibu.
On that automation piece, what I've noticed, and I don't know if you've noticed the same thing. So I haven't asked you this before. When we've automated the process of dripping to our clients, we've noticed that the number one email that gets opened above everything else is just the regular property alert, right? Am I right?
You are.
It's always shocking to see that to me.
Well, you think about why they signed up on your site, right? This is the world's biggest disconnect. And I do have this in my notes to talk about this. So this is good. This is the biggest disconnect I see in our industry as it is, right? For some reason, we're so focused on sending communication with people that didn't sign up for that type of communication. What people want from you is property alerts, right? Especially if they're looking to buy. They want property alerts. Why? Because that's what they asked for. Also, that's the biggest thing to get people coming back to your website, which is where you can have additional information to build trust. Now, leading with education, while it's not necessarily what they signed up for, it does show that you're knowledgeable, approachable, and easy to talk to, which is what we're looking for. Whenever it's funny because we buy properties kind of all over the US, and everybody's like, well, what agent do you work with when you do that? And truthfully, I am on, okay, this is like confession time. Are you cool with this?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
This is judgment free, right? Like judgment free zone?
Only for the next 2 minutes.
I'm registered on this is not a joke, 1,800 real estate websites.
Holy cow, dude. How do you
really bad? It's dude.
You have an email for all of those, or
dude, you know what's really crazy is once a month I get the people that just send the mass emails out through all the mass providers. I get 150 of the exact same email just with a name change. So do better, people. But my point is, if you lead with education, the agents that I choose to work with when I buy rental properties, the agent that I choose to work with leads with education, shows me that I'm not a number. And they start from day one. They don't know who I am. I don't even register with a real name. And so they treat me like a person, not a number. That's how they get my business.
Got it.
So, okay. So number 3, since we're talking about audience, let's talk about number 3.
Okay.
So hone in on your core audience. So where I see a lot of people trying right now, especially as the market kind of low inventory is coming or is already there, and people are now trying to expand their audience to be everyone. Okay. I sold my business for the mid to high 7 figures. Okay. I do not personally, even with that much money sitting in the bank, do not have the money to target everyone. I just don't. You can't target everyone. So figure out who your core audience is and hone in on that. So if you aren't focusing on your past clients and your sphere of influence, you are going to be hurting going forward. And my reason for that is everybody out there is trying to target your database. Everybody is. So lock that down like Fort Knox. You want to be farming your past clients and your sphere of influence. Everybody's like, I want to build a farm. Dude, you already have a farm. Freaking focus on that. Focus on the farm you have. It's called digital farming. And that's the way to do it. You start focusing on them. Now, let them know you're in business. Don't be a secret agent. Let them know that you are there for them. This is the time to really hone in on this audience. These are the people that know you. They like you. They've done a deal with you in the past. Dude, the walls have already come down. Get more deals out of them. Talk to them. Make sure they know that you are there and that they are being little positive megaphones running around your city talking about you. So in the advertising world, we call these people your avatar, right? Not the movie. Although the movie's pretty good. I just watched it.
I haven't
literally just watched it.
I haven't seen part 2.
Okay, I haven't. They have a part 2.
It's on HBO. It's on HBO or HBO Max, whatever it's called.
These are your target audience for your advertising, right? If you want more clients, focus on those that you've already worked with for clues on what kind of marketing to be running for your new leads. Everybody's like, oh my God, I want more business. Cool. Pull your past audience on what worked. Dude, they are the definition of what worked in your marketing. It's so easy. Okay. If you're not sending your just listed and just sold postcards, if you send postcards, if you don't send postcards, send postcards. But if you are sending postcards out already and you're not sending them to your past clients, dude, you are missing out on the biggest opportunity, right? So one of the coolest features that I use personally within my Chime database, it's funny. I saw this on a post on LCA, 15 minutes ago, right before I joined the webinar. People were asking who do I use for mailing? Awesome. I use Chime to handle all of my mailing because 1, I don't have time to go work with one printer and then deliver it to another printer and then deliver it out for mailing. It's just too hard. I 2 clicks and I'm done, which is way easier. But coolest feature is the postcard tool because I can literally take my pipeline of past clients. So at this point, it's 5,600 people, right? So we take that past client pipeline and with 2 clicks, I can literally send them my just listed postcard. So why am I sending it to them? Because remember, they know, they trust me. They know people that are buying and selling homes. And if I can just start getting in front of them and stay in front of them, I want them to be like, damn, this Baker guy is in business, man. He is selling a lot of homes. Well, now when they're at a barbecue and their friend's like, man, I'm thinking about listing my house. Dude, call Baker. Hey, I'm thinking about buying a house. Call Baker because you're top of mind with them. So if you're going to send postcards, make sure your past clients are included in that. That's like the easiest form of communication. And if you can get a CRM like Chime that can do that automatically for you and just like 2 clicks, you're done. Oh my God, it makes life so much easier. Oh my God, you're going to share screen?
Well, I was
going to beat you to it, but this is good.
Yeah, we've got the boost right here. It is. The farming.
So this is like, in my opinion. So it's funny. So my opinion, Chime is business in a box, right? I wasn't going to go like too overly Chime. Yes, I know Chime is sponsoring this webinar, but I wasn't going to go too overly Chime with this. Here's the thing. I've used every CRM out there. And I mean that, like, it's kind of bad. Like, I'm kind of an addict. Here's the reason I came and landed on Chime and won't go anywhere else, even though, believe me, I get pulled a lot of ways. The reason I won't leave Chime is because it's literally a business in a box, which means that tomorrow, let's say I wanted to pick up and I wanted to, I don't know, open shop in like Malibu, California. I could literally have I could take everything that I've got with Chime and drop it into a new location and have a business in a box and be up and running within probably a week. And that's a no-brainer to me. And the fact that I can take so much of my time that I spend doing other things and put it into one place and have one system tell me who to follow up with, when to follow up, and how to follow up. Dude, that's a win-win, win-win-win. My time is far too valuable to have to like piece together systems.
I like how you said that. So it's a win-win, win-win-win.
It is. So here's another thing that I briefly touched on, but I want to make this really clear. If you want to get more clients like you've had in the past, the people that have already worked with you, and this is something that like I use in all of the marketing on all of my other companies, but I haven't seen really anybody do this in real estate. Pull your past clients. Okay. So what I mean by that, reach out to them, ask them why they chose to work with you. I know that's kind of a weird thing, but like, hey, if you're in Southern California, you had 100,000 options. Why did you choose me? What was it that stood out about me and my business? So start there, right? And then, so I'll start with like, why did you figure out that I was a good fit to help you buy your home? What, if any, of my marketing did you see when you were starting your home search? Want to talk about how to expand your business? Find out what's working. So what I used to do in my business is I had a client onboarding sheet, and we're bringing it back now that we're relaunching our new brand and everything like that. We're bringing it back because that was one of the most vital things that I did. Hey, did you hear me on the radio? Did you see me on TV? Did you see one of our ugly pink pens cruising around? How about one of our ugly pink cars? Did you see one of those driving around the neighborhood? Like, check all that apply. And I could look at that then and go, oh, okay, you're seeing one of our 6,000 pens that we dropped off in the city. Sweet. I know that when that comes time to renew that, I'm going to do that. Oh, you saw our ugly cars driving around? Awesome. That's rad. Cool. Glad those are working. Oh, you heard me on the news. Interesting. If I get enough of those, I know to renew that contract because it's working. Because a lot of those, when it comes to marketing, it's hard to track. And so there you go. That's an easy way to track.
Well, I love that one.
But it's just something that's, like I said, just pull them. Remember, it's your advertising worked on them. What was it about your advertising that worked? And so then you can start putting your money where you need to. And this is going to help you long-term future-proof your business, because if you're constantly focusing on how your past clients are finding you, you know what is going to be working as you move forward. And if you have those numbers to work with, you can start tracking trends. And we call it, in my world, I call it trend surfing, because I try to jump on the trend and ride that trend as long as I can. And that's ultimately what works for me.
All right. I have a question on, so you went through, number one, own your assets.
Yep. Own your assets.
Number two, become
relevant.
Your audience. Number three, focus on your core audience, which I think is, by the way, I love that one. And polling your past clients. That's awesome. On number two, on becoming relevant to your audience, would you say that remarketing lands there in your head, or does it land somewhere else? Where do you place remarketing or retargeting?
That's solid question. And I do. So at this point in our business, we get hundreds of leads a day. Okay. And we don't pay for any of that. That's all organic at this point. However, you and I have done webinars on that in the past. But what I use remarketing for and retargeting specifically, I use Chime to deal with that for me because they have the most up-to-date information. But what they do is they have this thing. The only way that I can describe this to you, and you know this, it's the Amazon effect, right? So I go onto Amazon. Prime days, come on, they're like my favorite day ever. Even though Alaska is like, 7-day prime shipping as opposed to 2-day prime shipping, I still use it. That said, when you go onto Amazon and you're like, I want a mug that has moose on it, okay, and you start searching for moose mugs, all of a sudden you're going to start getting advertisements later for like, you sure you don't want a mug with like a deer on it? How about a mug with an elk? How about a mug with a polar bear? You're going to get those kind of retargeting messages coming back to you on all your social platforms. Well, Chime.
On that,
yeah,
just because I'm thinking of me as the consumer right now. And I want everybody that's listening in to think of themselves as a consumer of any product. It doesn't have to be real estate.
Right.
But I'm thinking, I'll give you the latest example. I was looking at, I use written planners, even though. So I was looking at the Full Focus Planner by Michael Hyatt, and it popped up on my Facebook. And then I click it and I'm like, oh, this is cool. I took a look at one and then I let it go. And then I open it up and they're retargeting me. And then I get an email. And then I go on Instagram and they're following me there. And dude, what did I do at night? I bought the damn thing at night. And that's how retargeting works. But
why does it work?
Well, you tell me, why does it work?
It works because it is constantly reminding you that is there. It's just what I found when I used Chime. So what Chime does is that Amazon effect. They take the leads search and they put those homes back in front of the lead. And so what a lot of leads see it as is it's fate or destiny. Okay. It works in any industry, but Chime has figured out they're the only ones that I've seen in real estate. I've used all of them. I've used all of the CRMs. They're the only ones that have figured out how to do this with listings that are not just bulk listings. They're individually tailored to the lead. That is freaking wild. And it works. And I'll tell you that it works because everybody tells me that people don't buy houses on social media. Okay. People they don't make large purchases based on what they found on social media. Well, full disclosure, I just bought a helicopter because of retargeting. I found one online. I found it while I was browsing on Facebook. It got retargeted to me a bunch. I finally reached out to the dealer and I bought it. Came through Facebook. So it works in any industry. But if you're not retargeting, sorry, I just clicked my mic. If you're not retargeting, you are missing out on your past clients. That's part of your digital farm. They should be going to all your past clients to remind them you're in business, all the new listings that you put up, all the new, anything new that you put out. If you do a lot of YouTube, all of that stuff needs to be put in front of them. Get them to be part of your ecosystem. You will become relevant. They will start trusting what you have to say. And that's where the key comes in. Why did I choose the dealer that I chose with the helicopter thing? Because he broke down everything for me. He led with education. I was late at night. I ended up on his website. I'm browsing and it's like, here's what you need to know about your 12-year, 2,200-hour maintenance. Here's what you need to know about your 100-hour maintenance. I'm like, dude, you broke everything down for me. Thank you for leading with education. That's how you get my business. And so it's the same thing in the housing world. And you'll say, but Brett, I target luxury. How does how does that work? Some of the most expensive homes that I've ever, in fact, I'm going to tell you the one story that I've got from me in SoCal during COVID. So I lived in Southern California I'm born and raised there. During COVID, I moved back down there I love California. So anyways, I'm out in the water. I'm down at the San Onofre power plant. I'm out surfing. I'm minding my own business. Mm-hmm. And this guy comes up to me, paddles over to me. He's like, dude, I see you out here like every freaking day. What do you do? And I kind of explained the whole real estate thing. He goes, oh, real estate. It's like, man, I've never understood how you guys stay in business. What now? And he's like, come to find out, the dude has like multiple master's degree, a doctorate. He owns the largest sheet metal company in the state of California. He has hundreds upon hundreds of employees. They do billions of dollars of business a year. Okay.
Wow.
This guy goes, I don't understand how you stay in business. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I just don't understand the charging 12% for a listing. Like, I don't get it. And I'm like, did you say 12%? And he's like, yeah, I've wanted to sell my house. Like, my house is right there on the bluff. I've been wanting to sell it. My wife hates it. It's too big, but I don't want to pay a real estate agent 12% to list it. And I said, I'm just curious where you're getting this 12% from. He goes, 6 to the buyer side and 6 to the selling side. And I'm like, okie dokie. So here is a guy that does billions of dollars a year in business, that owns some $4+ million place on the SoCal coast, doesn't know that it's not 12%. People don't know what they don't know, especially if they're not in the industry. And we as real estate agents do a really bad job of communicating because we assume that people know. People in the past had assumed that this guy didn't want to sell because, he didn't want to work with an agent. Well, no, he didn't know that it was only 6%. And by the way, yes, I told him that we would do it for 10, but that's not the point.
I know you did. That's a good one, though.
So that's the idea, though, right? So it doesn't matter where the person comes from. Sometimes people just don't know because they're not in the industry. Do a better job of communicating that, even to your luxury clients, and you're going to see a much better connection.
I love that, man. And yes, Sandy, this is recorded.
Oh, good.
It'll go to the Lab Coat Agents YouTube channel. Jake will put up a link to that. It'll be up by tomorrow, I think, end of tomorrow. So you'll get, if you miss any part of it, I'm going to do a recap right here. And I think I took some notes, Brett.
Good.
I also had an idea. So,
and I have something to give away.
Oh, you know what? Do the giveaway first,
okay,
and then I'll recap.
Okay,
go ahead.
So I want to clarify, right? I do not work for Chime. Like Kendra, who's on here as well, she was nice enough to have me come on and talk about Chime. I'm a user, just like 95% of you. Some employees are watching this, but I did this thing where I love Chime so much that I literally wrote the book on it. Everybody had been talking about, Chime. So I switched over to Chime. I loved it enough. It changed my business so much that I legitimately wrote the book on it. And so it has been a bestseller on Amazon. Tristan and I have been battling for like bestseller position with our books for a little bit. And haha, sucker, I'm going to take it back. If you head over to chimebook.com right now, I am giving the Kindle version away. Prime days, I think, are over. But if you go over to chimebook.com, it's the only way that you're going to get the free Kindle version today. I'm also giving away 7 days of my best content on Chime. And so it literally, if you go fill out the little get the free book thing on my site, chimebook.com, I'm giving you 7 days of the training. I'm also going to enroll you in my Chime Basics course so you can actually get a deep dive of what you see when you join Chime. Again, I don't work for them. I freaking love them. They have changed the course of my business and my wife's business. And everybody goes, would you ever leave Chime? No, because I can't replace it.
I love that. Leon Harper, I have it and I'm still reading it.
What was I using before? Sandy had to ask that question. So to answer your question, sorry, this is going to take a minute. Real Geeks, Boomtown, Sierra Sync. I've done Easy Agent Pro. I've done Placer. I've done WordPress with a IDEX broker. I've done WordPress with Diverse Solutions, and I've done WordPress with some other hack like MLS Buddy. So there you go.
Perfect. And I've done the other ones that he hasn't. Right. So between both of us, we've definitely done all of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Tony asks, Aldrete or Aldret. If I messed that up, Tony, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I just saw his question.
There you go. Want to read it?
Yeah. Hey, I read your book and loved it. Thanks, Tony. also bought your smart plans and wondering if you were going to expand with more smart plans. So I have a huge announcement coming out. Some of you guys know that, yes, I have been doing coaching for the last 5 years because I've had a non-compete and have not been allowed to sell or real estate in any way. I was telling Tristan, my non-compete expired 2 days before Independence Day. So I'm a free man. There's a big announcement coming and it's going to be large. So I can't tell you more on that, but yes and no. So I'll explain here soon.
I think I know what it is. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think you know what it is. And Sandy, imagine Follow-Up Boss on steroids. There you go.
Yeah, and look, Follow Boss is the CRM itself, and then Chime is the whole digital platform.
That's correct. Okay.
There you go.
Recap, buddy.
Here's the recap. If you missed it, the recording's going on YouTube. It'll be on by tomorrow. Number 1, own your assets. Build something that you can take with you, database, website, right? Something that does not belong to your current broker. Number 2, become relevant to your audience. And what we both thought was education was the key. The automation piece, I think, was important. In fact, we were talking about remarketing, retargeting. And you know what I thought while you were talking, Brett, about retargeting? I thought when you were talking about your helicopter experience with Facebook retargeting, I'm like, you know what? Retargeting has become, I wrote this down so I wouldn't forget it. Retargeting is an artificial reticular activating system. You know how RAS is just built in? But that has become like the artificial version of it, dude.
It's true.
Like, it's hacking us. It's interesting because it works. So that, number 3, focus on your core audience. Everyone is trying to target your audience. So why don't you do it instead? Those are Brett's words. There you go.
Yep. And I think that, one more thing to take away. And I promised I wasn't going to make this overly Chime, but I'm going to make this kind of Chime right now. So Tristan, I don't know if you saw the new release that came out today. So every couple of weeks, Chime launches like new features.
Yeah.
And honestly, for someone like me that is addicted to these things, it is really tough for me to stay up on all this stuff because it's literally like every time I turn around, they have like, we added all these new features. It's like, son of a, I just learned how to use the last ones. But the new one they launched is the AI writer. Have you seen that?
Yes, I have.
I got a beta test that a while back. The new AI writer is like, so you hear me talk about like hyperlocal and community landing pages and all this jazz that's awesome. Yeah. They now can do it for you. It's all like, dude, yeah. And it'll rewrite stuff for you. Like they have a full rewriter in there. Look, I have another book out. It's called Future Proofing Your Business, basically the rise of AI in real estate, also a bestseller. But I talk about like how to use AI in your business. And I think the guys at Chime like read it and then implemented everything that I talked about.
Dude, they probably did. Here, let me show you then what you're talking about. For those of you who don't know, Chime also updates on the back end and says, hey, here's the latest update. I found it. AI writing assistant optimization.
Yeah.
And it says here, let me just zoom in. The next time you utilize the AI writing assistant, you will be prompted to acknowledge a disclaimer.
Sure.
Great, right?
Yeah.
Now, we have also optimized the AI writing assistant so that you can highlight a section of the content and prompt the AI writer to assist with that specific content. I love that, dude.
Right. So awesome. That came out this morning. And like, I kid you not, and this is kind of embarrassing, but I did like a back handspring and it wasn't very good. Like I feel bad for any of my neighbors. They definitely heard me hit a wall. But do you want to see one?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
We're so stupid. That was dumb. But anyway.
Oh my God. No, but seriously, they launched that and it's like, dude, I preach hyperlocal content like daily. That's like the thing I preach. Be different, show examples of how you're different, show your value to people, right? And the way you can show your value is showing that you know your community really, really well. And so what Chime did was, I swear to you, they read my book and they were just like, oh yeah, we can implement that. And then they just implemented everything. And so it's rad because anybody that uses Chime now actually has that feature at their disposal. So if you're not really good at writing community pages, like I'm not, I usually hire people to do it. Chime now actually has ChatGPT functionality, but with rewriting capabilities. So it doesn't come off sounding like a robot. It sounds really clean. And I'm going to be real. My writer that does all of my community pages for me, she is so scared right now. She thinks I'm going to like fire her because it's better than she is.
And that's what we're going to talk about. Not the firing part, but the AI part. That's what we're going to talk about on our next Chime webinar. So I love that, dude. Thanks.
Sweet.
It's always so much fun. What does your hat say today?
Oh, it's just an aircraft hat. VTail pilot.
VTail pilot. All right.
Mm-hmm. I have a hat for you too, by the way.
Dude, well, when you fly down in September.
Yeah, exactly. When we do some flying, I have a new hat for you. It's not this one, but I have a new hat for you. Yeah, we'll have a good time with that. But if anybody has any questions at all about what I talked about, dude, you guys can find me in the Lab Coat group. I'm in there. Feel free to message me at any time, especially if you're curious about Chime. Dude, I've done so many like videos and stuff like that over the years. Like I said, I'm just a user that just absolutely loves the platform. I'm a user that has had his business changed because of Chime. And so the reason I'm doing all this stuff, the reason I'm such a big proponent of Chime is because I've seen what it has done for my business. And that's why I'm vocal about it.
I love it, man. Thanks so much for doing this, buddy. I took some great notes.
Good. I'm glad you got some notes out. I'm glad I got to hang out with you again.
Dude, that's true. That's true. Thanks, man.
Sweet.
Say hi to your wife.
Oh, I definitely will. She'll say hi back, and my daughter will point and wave at you. So
dog. Uh-oh.
Dog. Uh-oh.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Take care, buddy. See ya.